to continue with Mrs. Harrison's look at poetry. So let me share the learning targets with you. I'm hoping you are feeling productive and poetic because we are going to be writing a descriptive poem about a frog today. So that's your learning target. I can write a poem that describes a frog using descriptive details. Why are we doing this? So that, oh good, we have Abby. We can build our schema about frogs and poetry, and also so we can share our thinking and you entertain people with poetry, right? So here's your success criteria. You will be able to, oh, finally Marin, yay. You will be able to identify rhyming words, discuss figurative language, identify nouns, verbs, and adjectives. We'll discuss the poem structure. We'll write a class poem about bullfrogs, and then you'll get to write your own poem. So let's look at a special poem I have about the red-eyed tree frog. So this is a poem about a frog that you have probably seen before. So let me show you. If you don't know what a red-eyed tree frog is, here are some images. Does the red-eyed tree frog look familiar now? I bet you've seen it different places. Now, I don't want to give it away, the poem, but I wanted to give you something to visualize. So let's go back to the poem. It's called The Red-Eyed Tree Frog. I want you to just listen and read along in your head as I read. Tomato eyes catches flies. Orange toes loves to pose. Matchstick legs hatches from eggs. Swallows bugs. Lives on t-shirts and coffee mugs. So let's really break this down. First, we said we would look at rhyming words. Does this poem rhyme? What do you think, Robert?
I can't unmute.
You did. I hear you.
Okay.
Do you think this poem has rhyming words?
Yes.
Okay, can you give me an example?
The first one, tomato eyes catches flies. The two last words both have an S.
So we know rhyming words have the same sound at the end of the word. So here we hear eyes, flies. You hear that? Eyes and eyes, right? So eyes and flies rhyme. I'm going to make that an A pattern. Those two rhyme. What about in the second stanza? Because this is one stanza, right? Mrs. Harrison talked about that today. A stanza is a group of words. It's like a paragraph in a poem. This is your second stanza. Here's your third stanza. And this is the fourth stanza. A group of sentences or words together that are related. So in the second stanza, we said this is the first, this is second, third, fourth. In the second stanza, do we also have rhyming words, Lyric? Can you unmute and tell me what words rhyme in the second stanza?
Toes and pose.
Toes and pose, they have that O sound. This is a BB pattern. And the reason it's not part of the AA pattern is because why? What do you think, August? Why do I not think eyes, flies, and toes and pose go together? But I do think eyes and flies go together. They're AA. But toes and pose are BB. They're not AA. Why do you think, August? You're muted, honey.
So they don't sound bad?
Yet they don't, toes and pose doesn't rhyme with eyes and flies, does it?
No.
No, so they're not AA. They're their own set of rhyming words, right?
Yeah.
So they're separate. the words in the first stanza don't rhyme with the words in the second stanza. Let's see if that continues. You ready, Marin? Matchstick legs hatches from eggs. We're looking at the third stanza. What words rhyme in that one, Marin?
Bugs and mugs.
What is it?
Bugs and mugs.
I think you're on the fourth stanza. Can you go to the third stanza?
Legs and
Matchstick
eggs.
legs and eggs. Do you think they would be an AA pattern, BB pattern, or a CC pattern, Marin? And why? Can you unmute?
I think it would be a CC pattern.
It is, you're right. Why is it not an AA or BB pattern? Can you tell us why, Marin? Think about it. We said eyes and flies rhyme, so they're AA. Toes and pose rhyme, they're BB. But toes and pose don't rhyme with eyes and flies. What about legs and eggs? Do they rhyme with the other two sets? No, so that's why they're CC. They're their own. All right, Abby, you're up for stanza 4, the fourth stanza. Ready, Mrs. Arnold? Swallows bugs, lives on t-shirts and coffee mugs. What rhymes in that stanza?
Bugs and mugs.
Bugs and mugs. Do you think that's going to be a CC pattern, BB, AA, or DD?
I think it's gonna be a D.
Does bugs rhyme with toes or pose?
No.
Nope, it has to be its own, right? DD.
Wait.
It doesn't rhyme with,
Bugs, mugs, eyes,
They-
flies, toes.
they don't rhyme, right? They only rhyme within their stanza. Remember, the stanza is this like paragraph. It's like its own little set. It's separated by a space. So
Yeah.
these are your 4.
Like the first stanza is pretty much like the first paragraph, and the second stanza is the second, and third is third paragraph, and yeah, it's pretty much like that.
Yeah, exactly. So when we go back to our success criteria, we said we can identify rhyming words. Did we do that? Thumbs up. Did we identify the rhyming words? Thank you, Josh Carter. Thank you, Lucas. So remember, rhyming words are words that have the same sound at the end. Do all rhyming words have to be spelled the same at the end? What do you think, Jensen?
No.
No, look at this. Look at eyes and flies. Are they spelled exactly the same at the end? No, they can have different spelling, but they have the same sound. So when you identify rhyming words in a poem, be thinking of the sound. Don't look just for the spelling. And the reason I say that is, do you guys remember being like in kindergarten when you did rhyming words and it was something like this? What rhymes with cat? And what did you say? Maybe cat. Maybe hat. Maybe hat, right? When you were young, that's how we would teach you rhyming words. They all had the same spelling. But now that you're older, you realize not all words that rhyme are spelled the same. You guys believe me?
Yeah.
Yay, because we just proved that, right, in our poem. They don't all have the same ending sound. They all have the same ending sound. They don't all have the same spelling at the end. So sometimes they do, but not always. So we've looked at the rhyming words. Now we're going to discuss some of the figurative language. Mrs. Harrison's been talking to you about figurative language in EL. Figurative language is just language that helps, an author uses it to describe something, and it's not literal. It's not, for example, tomato eyes. Let's go back. Does a red-eyed tree frog actually have tomato eyes? Lucas, what do you think? Are those tomatoes for eyes? You're muted, sorry.
No.
No, they're just red.
Yeah, and why do you think the author of this, or this poet, chose the word tomato to describe the eyes of the red-eyed tree frog?
Because like a frog's eyes are red and a tomato's eyes are red, and a tomato is red.
Okay, so the color of the eyes is the same color as the tomato, right? So he's using a tomato to help you visualize or picture the eyes of this red-eyed tree frog. What else do you notice about the eyes of the tree frog, Lyric, that the author might use a tomato to describe them? What else do you notice besides the color?
I noticed that their eyes are the shape of a tomato.
Exactly, they're round and big, right? They're like the shape of a tomato. So calling them tomato eyes makes sense, doesn't it? Let's go back to the poem. So now we understand that part of figurative language. We're gonna skip, so tomato eyes, the first line here describes. It's describing a part of our frog. What about the second line of the first stanza? Catches flies. Is that describing what it looks like? Or is it doing something different? What do you think, Logan Peters?
Doing something different.
Can't hear you, bud. Little closer maybe and louder. Something must be wrong with your sound. I see Marin's hand is up. Marin?
It describes what they're doing.
Yeah, so the first line is saying it describes its looks. Its eyes look like tomatoes, but this describes what it does. Describes what it does. So now we're kind of looking at the structure as we go as well. All right, so look at stanza number 2, orange toes. Why do you think, let's go back. Why do you think, Haley Booker, they said orange toes? What do you notice about the red-eyed tree frog? That the author or poet would use orange to describe their toes.
I noticed that it's like their feet are kind of they're kind of like orangey and like and their whole feet are orangey, so the author might describe it as orange toes.
Yeah, and thinking back to our learning target, we're supposed to write a descriptive poem that's describing what the toes actually look like. So here we are again, that first line of our second stanza describes looks, but loves to pose. Everybody strike a pose for me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, strike a pose. I'm trying to see who knows what pose means. August knows, Robert knows, Logan knows, Abigail knows. Jensen, I see you. Looking good. Noah's got it. Haley's got it. Elena, I'm not sure.
This is really hard when you got
Strike
a
a
dog and
pose. You could do this. The middle schoolers do this, right? All kinds of stuff. If you're doing a selfie, there you go. So when you pose, it's like you're getting ready for a picture. So what is that line
Like
telling us about the red-eyed tree frog? What do you think? Jensen, go ahead. It's not describing what it looks like. It describes what?
Like, how they like stretch, maybe.
Well, it's kind of describing what it does.
They do.
The red-eyed tree frog is not afraid of us. It's always, look at it. Let's look at it again. They're always looking at you. Look at, they love, it's like they love the attention. They're so pretty, aren't they? So they're always posing for the camera. All right, let's look at the next stanza.
They are pretty.
So we have a pattern happening. We have rhyming words, A, A, B, B, C, C, D, D. But then we have the first line of the first stanza describes the looks. The second line describes what it does. Second stanza, again, first line describes looks. Second line describes what it does. Let's see if that pattern continues. Matchstick legs. Do you think that describes what it looks like, Robert? Or do you think it describes what it does? Matchstick legs. Yeah, that describes its looks. Do you guys know what matchsticks look like? Yeah? August,
skinny.
let me show you.
They look like little. Have you ever seen little sticks?
By the
with
way, don't play with matches.
No, they can start things on fire.
So matchsticks look like this, right? Notice that they're kind of straight and they have that color on the end. Going back to the red-eyed tree frog, what does the frog's legs have in common with matchsticks? What do you think? Go ahead, Lila Morris.
So, on the red-eyed tree frog, its leg is like the stick part of it, and then its foot is like the colorful part.
Exactly. It's like a match, right? The toes are orange, though not red, like the matchstick. So they're comparing, the poet is comparing matchsticks to the legs of a red-eyed tree frog. Okay, and then we're going to look at the next line of the third stanza. This time it's not describing its looks, but it's describing what, Ryder? Hatches from eggs. Describes what? I think you're muted. Okay, that I can't hear you. Ryder, can you tell us about that?
Letting me unmute for a sec. So hatches from eggs describes it. So, like, if say this was an egg, it just breaks in half and then something comes out, and it hatches from the egg and it comes out of the egg.
Excellent. So that's telling what it does, right? We're no longer describing what it looks like, but telling what it does. So you see a pattern here. We've got rhyming words at the end of each stanza. We also have, in the first line of each stanza, descriptive words to tell what it looks like. And then we have descriptive words telling what it does, right? Okay. Last but not least, let's look at the last stanza. Swallows bugs. Uh-oh, is that telling us what it looks like, Henrik? Swallows bugs. That's describing something else. What's it describing? Can you unmute?
It describes that it eats.
Yeah, it's telling something it does, an action, right? It's not describing what it looks like. Where we had a pattern, the pattern just broke on the last stanza. And then it's also saying something else, lives on t-shirts and coffee mugs. That's describing something it does. So we ended with 2 actions. But I want to ask you guys something. Does a red-eyed tree frog live on a t-shirt or a mug? Give me a thumbs up if you think yes. Give me a thumbs down if you think no. Okay, your thumb should be down these red-eyed tree frogs don't actually live on a mug or a t-shirt. They live in the rainforest, right? Let's go back to our picture. The reason, does anyone want to give it a shot why they said lives on t-shirts and mugs? These are images of the red-eyed tree frog. Anybody want to give that a shot? I see Abby. Go ahead, Abby, unmute. Why do you think they said that? Lives on t-shirts and mugs.
I think they said that because why I think they say they live on t-shirts is because they probably make their homes out of like leaves that feel like t-shirts.
Nope. This is what it is, guys. Watch, if I go to well, I probably shouldn't go into Amazon, but the red-eyed tree frog is so beautiful that people want to see it as art. So many artists like to paint pictures of the red-eyed tree frog because it's so colorful and beautiful. Artists like to take photos of the red-eyed tree frog, and then what they do is they print them on t-shirts and put them on mugs and sell them like at the zoo. You might be at the zoo and you'd see pictures of it, or they try to raise money for endangered species and they'll sell t-shirts and mugs to get money so that they can help endangered species. So the red-eyed tree frog is often found at gift shops on t-shirts and mugs, but the red-eyed tree frog doesn't actually live there. They live in the rainforest. So that's what that is suggesting. It's just kind of figurative language, which was one of our learning targets today, to kind of discuss that. So looking back at our success criteria, we've done a lot already. Let's see, we were supposed to identify rhyming words. We did that. We discussed figurative language. We discussed the poem structure. Let's go back. We need to identify nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So let's look at the poem. What are some of the nouns? Now remember, a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. Place or thing. Ben, reading this poem, what are some examples of nouns? Tomato eyes catches flies. Orange toes loves to pose. Matchstick legs hatches from eggs. Swallows bugs, lives on t-shirts and coffee mugs. Can you think of one word that's a noun?
Maybe cabbage.
Can you say it again? Flies?
Yeah, flies.
Flies is a noun. It's a thing. Sure, that is a noun. Anybody else? Lucas, what else is a noun in our poem? A person, a place.
Maybe bugs.
Yeah,
bugs.
bugs are a thing. Ellie, another one.
Eggs.
Eggs are a noun. Gavin, another example of a noun from this poem.
Mugs.
Bugs, yep. Don't forget mugs, something you drink out of. Don't forget t-shirts. Those are also things. Toes are things. Eyes are things. All of these are things.
Tomatoes are things.
But tomatoes being used as something else. Let's go to that next. What a great segue. An adjective is a describing word. Today, the word tomato is being used as an adjective because it's describing the eyes. What kind of eyes? Tomato eyes. So normally a tomato is a noun, right? But because the way the poet has used it, it is going to be an adjective. Isabella, another adjective. Tomato eyes catches flies, orange toes loves to pose, matchstick legs hatches from eggs, swallows bugs, lives on t-shirts and coffee mugs. Describes.
Orange toes?
Yeah, so orange is a color word. It's describing the toes. Nice. One other one. How about Haley Calendar? What word is describing legs? Can you unmute and tell me what word is describing the legs of the tree frog?
Small and green.
That's not in the poem. Help her out. Cole, what word describes the legs in the poem?
Matchstick.
Yeah, it's actually, a matchstick is a noun normally, but the way the poet's using it, it's describing the legs. And what kind of mugs are they? Noah, what kind of mugs? It's right there, we can't hear you.
Unplug your earphones, Noah.
The earphones are funny. It's coffee
Noah,
mug.
you're unmuted.
Somehow you're muted. I don't know why, Noah. If after the Zoom meeting, if you shut down and start over, that helped Henrik out.
Unmuted, but we still can't hear him.
It
Yeah.
also helped me.
Oh, good. All right. A verb is an action word. So what action words do we see? If we know we have the nouns, the people, can you please mute so that you can hear, please? A noun is a person, place, or thing. We said flies, bugs, eggs, mugs, t-shirts, toes, and eyes. Adjectives are describing words. These words are actually being used to describe things. Tomato, orange, matchstick, coffee. Verbs, or a verb is an action word, shows movement usually, or not always. Sometimes you could be sleeping. That's an action word, a verb. What is one verb in this poem that you see? Josh Carter. Tomato eyes catches flies. Orange toes loves to pose. Matchstick legs hatches from eggs. Swallows bugs, lives on t-shirts and coffee mugs.
Eggs?
Eggs, we already said is a noun, is a thing. We're looking for action, something the frog does. Remember
Catches flies?
Catches, good, catches. That's an action word. Another one, Ben?
Pose.
Didn't hear you, Ben. Can you say it again?
Loves to pose.
Pose, very good. Pose, that's something the frog does. August, another one. There's 3 more.
Orange toes?
No, orange is the adjective. Toes is a noun. We want to show action, something the frog does. Madison, there's 3 more. We got catches, we got pose. Those are things you do.
Pose bugs.
Look in the 3rd stanza. Matchstick legs hatches from eggs. What is it doing in that stanza?
Hatching.
Hatches, very good. And now there's 2 in the last stanza. Raise your hand if you know them. Cole, go for it. What are they?
Swallows and lives.
Follows and lives are example of verbs. So we've got lots of verbs showing action. We have lots of adjectives describing our nouns, which we have lots of nouns. The main noun that this whole poem is analyzing or describing is the tree frog. So we've done a lot. We looked at rhyming words, we looked at figurative language, we identified nouns, verbs, and adjectives, we discussed the structure of the poem. Now we're going to quickly write a class poem about bullfrogs, following this structure. And then I want you to do a little research. I put a link on that we'll look at, and you'll choose a frog, to write a poem about. But let's do this. Let's look at a picture of a bullfrog. You guys have to help me think of a way to describe a bullfrog. So here are the pictures. Let's see. Oh my, look at those eyes.
Whoa.
The bullfrog is not quite as colorful. Oh boy, he's big though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, that's a rare blue one. We're not going to do the blue one. We're going to go with the green bullfrog, which is kind of greenish tan. And we're going to describe the bullfrog. Okay, so I want you guys get some ideas in your head. And the title of my poem will be The Bullfrog, because that's exactly what I'm describing. Now, going back to our example, I need to describe what it looks like. Instead of tomato eyes, I don't think it has tomato eyes. I could describe its eyes though. What could I say? Anyone have an idea? How could I describe the eyes? What do you think, Ben? Let's look at its eyes again.
His eyes are humongous.
I didn't hear you. Can you get closer?
His eyes are really big.
So big eyes. Okay, anybody else have another idea? Josh Carter.
Black and green.
So we want to use black, green. We want to talk about big eyes. All right. Lila.
Big and round, croaks very loud.
Ooh, big and round, croaks very loud. So I like that you're remembering we're going to need to rhyme, right? So if I rhyme with eyes, if I want to describe its eyes, I'm going to have to rhyme with eyes. So you said loud and round. Is that what I heard you rhyme?
Yes.
Round and loud don't actually rhyme though. Round, loud, loud. I like croaks very loud, but I don't know if I can rhyme with loud. Eyes, I don't know if it eats flies. I don't want to copy the other poem. I can always rhyme with
Round and proud.
proud, loud, proud and loud. Okay, so, but proud doesn't describe what it looks like. Green, round and loud, kind of go, it's just not exact. Okay, let's go back. So we got to describe what it looks like. We know it's big and round, or we could say big, but then I don't think it dances. It doesn't do a jig, so I can't rhyme with big very good. I don't think it likes to eat figs. I think I'm going to say big and round, like Lila said.
Big and twig.
Big and round, because it said we needed to describe what it looks like. Big and round, croaks very loud. It's not perfect, but it's close. Loud, round, So we'll go for it. That'll be our first stanza. Croaks very loud. Now let's think of colors that, who said Ben, you said something about the eyes being big and bulgy. They're kind of bulgy, aren't they? Big and bulgy. But then what rhymes with bulgy? Nothing that I can think of. Oh, we could say it's like a ball. Marble. Their eyes look like marbles, don't they? But
Yeah.
marble is hard to rhyme with too. Any other ideas?
Golden bulgy eyes.
I like gold. Gold, and what about bold? How about this? Eyes are large and gold. Eyes are large and gold. Should we call him an it? Or we'll just say stands, because he kind of stands tall and bold. Because that's telling what he does, right? So now we have round and loud rhyming, gold and bold rhyming. This is describing what it looks like. This describes what it does. This describes what it looks like. This describes what it does. Big and round, croaks very loud. Eyes are large and gold, stands tall and bold. Nice. You guys are doing a great job. Let's see if we can get one more. And then I'll let you research a frog. I just have a link for you guys to look at, and you can pick one to write your own about. So we talked about its eyes. We didn't talk about the color. Well, we said gold. We didn't say that it's, we could look at its legs like they did with the red-eyed tree frog, but it kind of looks slimy, doesn't it? It has no neck. Little bumpy too. Do you see the bumps? Max, can you think of something to describe this frog? Some words to describe either what it looks like or what it does?
When it croaks, his mouth gets really huge.
Yeah. So it expands, right? Expands its mouth, gets huge. What could rhyme with some of those words? Any ideas? It's kind of bumpy. It's hard to find the rhymes.
Bumpy and lumpy.
Ooh, the throat is kind of, that would work. So we could say bumpy skin. Oh no, because we're gonna need bumpy to be the end. Let's try skin.
Slimy. It is bumpy.
Skin is bumpy. Throat is
Bumpy.
throat is lumpy. Let's see how we did. I think we did a good job for our first attempt. We might have to revise it, but for now, for our rough draft.
Slimy, climby.
Yeah, why is this not coming back? No, hold on. I think I have to stop sharing, and then I can put this on.
I think I got one that I could rhyme with bumpy.
You do? What is it?
Bumpy grumpy.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, because you know what? We kind of broke our,
They look like they're
pattern.
really grumpy.
Can you guys see that? Am I sharing? No.
No.
Here.
No, you were not.
Okay. Now can you see it?
I said no. It
Nancy
still
on
says
her screen. Oh, there we go. We can see it now.
Okay, so we could say skin is bumpy, throat is lumpy, or we could say what Abby said. Skin is bumpy, he is so grumpy.
yeah. Why I thought of grumpy because they seem like they're not having it.
Right. All right, let's see how it
So
sounds. Bullfrog. Let's underline our title. And this is by our class. Big and round, croaks very loud, eyes are large and gold, stands tall and bold, skin is bumpy, he is so grumpy. Or skin is bumpy, throat is lumpy. So very cool. All right, you guys did a great job. Now here's what I want you to
I
do.
do think Lumpy's a little better though, but
Well, you can decide what you would like to do.
I'm
Alright.
I'm trying to be unique, so I'm doing Grumpy.
So here's which one you guys are gonna get to do. In your classwork, you have a link to a bunch of frogs. I put it on our assignment for today. That's math. Hold on. It's all block. And there's a couple things I got to share with you. Lila, did you have a question before I show this? Or can I show this and then do questions?
I just thought of another part of the poem, that's all.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So what I thought is, skin is slimy like a fish, who would want to snuggle this big bish?
Very cute. Oh, you're going to have fun with this. All right. So when you go to Mrs. Aubin Monday, 12:45 p.m. all block in your Google Classroom, there's a couple things I got to show you. I'm very excited about this. First,
Can I go to the bathroom?
if it's an emergency, otherwise you're not going to know what to do. And I only need about 3 more minutes. If you can wait 3 minutes, great. If it's an emergency, you should go. Okay, so here's the scan. This is the example of the poem. I put that on there, and it also has a picture of a red-eyed tree frog on there that the author drew. So if you need to refer back to that, feel free. You can do that. It's on the assignment. Then I put a link on here for 15 bizarre frog species. You guys can look at different frogs. There's all kinds of different ones. It doesn't have a lot of reading to go with it, so it should be okay for you to be able to view. You've got the bare-hearted glass frog. You have I don't even know how to pronounce that one. Maybe don't do that one. The desert rain frog, very cool, has a video. The ornate horned frog, he's very cool. Hairy frog, that's my favorite. Look at that. Never seen one like that before.
Oh, I've never seen one of those either.
So you could write your poem about the hairy frog.
never seen a frog with hair.
That answers Noah's question about fur.
Here's a Vietnamese mossy frog. We've got all kinds of cool frogs that you can learn about. Golden poison dart frog. Indian bullfrog. There's a video about that one. Look at this crazy one. Brazilian horned frog. Wallace's flying frog. Are you kidding? Who knew? I thought they only had flying squirrels.
Flying frog.
Okay, so I have that attached. Then this is what you're gonna do. And I know this is a lot, but I believe in you. See if you can do this. What I'd like for you to do is to write a poem about the frog of your choice to be ready to share with us tomorrow. So you have all time today to finish it before math, okay? And after math. Maybe this evening you want to work on it too. Then I have some reading to assign you guys.
I'll probably work on it before I go to bed.
Here's what I want to show you. This is super duper important. I need everybody to write down which book you are going to be reading. So in your EL Spiral and a pencil, I'm going to tell you, you're either going to, I added 2 links. We are starting chapter books for our independent reading time. So half of you are going to read Because of Winn-Dixie, and we're going to do some group work with that. And half of you are going to read Stone Fox. So I will tell you who is reading what. Okay, so make sure you write down either Because of Winn-Dixie or Stone Fox so you know who you are, which one you're reading. All right, so Cole, These people are reading Because of Winn-Dixie. Cole, Ryder, Abby, Madison, Logan, Leo, Jensen, Lila, and Gavin. You guys are going to read Because of Winn-Dixie. This is the link for it. You will click on this link and you will read chapters 1 and 2. They're very short. See how that's chapter 4 already. It's only a few pages. Okay? The rest of you are going to read Stone Fox. So Josh, Elena, Lucas, Paxton, Lyric, Henrik, Isabella, Ben, Robert, Ellie, August, Haley, Noah, Nixon, Marin, Ethan, and Haley, both Haleys. You guys are going to read Stone Fox. This is the link for Stone Fox. You click on it and you just scroll. You guys only have to read one chapter, chapter 1, because your chapters are longer. Now, you'll notice in the assignment, I put the pages that when you scroll, so your pages for Stone Fox are pages 5 through 12, and the pages for Because of Winn-Dixie are pages 7 through 12. So let me show you what I mean. Here you click on Because of Winn-Dixie. Do you notice at the top where it says 1 of 91? As I scroll and hover, I haven't even started the chapter yet. Here is the beginning of chapter 1. When I go up here, it says page 7. So you're going to read 7 through 12. You're reading 2 chapters because your chapters are shorter. See, that's chapter 2. That's chapter 4. You don't want to go that far. You're only reading 2 chapters. So you stop right here, which is page 12. The same thing is for Stone Fox. When you click on Stone Fox in your Google Classroom assignment, it says page 1. Well, you're not actually starting on page 1. You start on page, here it says chapter 1, where it says grandfather. You start on page 5. And then you end, when you get to the end of chapter 1, you don't want to read chapter 2, only chapter 1 for Stone Fox, people. And it ends on page, so you don't want to read Little Willie. It ends right here on page 12. Okay, questions. So you're going to research a frog, write your poem. It doesn't have to be super long. Remember, the learning target was to write a descriptive poem. If you can follow the format we did with the rhyming at the end, and if you have describe what it looks like and describe what it does, that would be awesome. There is, again, an attachment of the red-eyed tree frog for you guys to look at. So always refer back to that. You're going to just write this in your EL spiral, and then we're going to share them tomorrow. Okay? And then you will get your link. Here's the bizarre frog species, so you get some ideas of what frog you want to describe in your poem. And when you're done with that, we are starting book clubs. So you know you're either in Because of Winn-Dixie or you are in Stone Fox. You're just going to read 1 chapter Stone Fox. Winn-Dixie, you're reading 2 chapters. All right, I am ready for questions. I see Elena's hand is up. Question, Elena.